Welcome back to my channel. Following on from my previous video surrounding family and sport, I will today be looking at the topic of talent transfer. Talent transfer is a recently formalised process used to identify and develop talented athletes by selecting individuals who have already succeeded in one sport and transferring them to another. The overall idea surrounding talent transfer is that an athlete who has certain skills and physical capabilities can make the jump from one sport to another, going on to have success in their newfound sport. To help identify athletes capable of making this transition, there have been a number of organisations and programmes set up. One of the most prominent organisations to have success was Sporting Giants, which was set up in 2007. Sporting Giants was a screening programme created to find those best suited to the sports of volleyball, rowing and handball. To apply for the programme, no prior experience in any of these sports was necessary. The only requirements were as follows. Men applying had to be a minimum height of 6'3", whilst women were required to measure at least 5'11". Applicants had to be aged between 16 and 25, and all those applying were required to have some form of athletic background. Following the creation of this programme, a public appeal led to Sporting Giants receiving over 4,000 applicants, 3,000 of which met the criteria. From this 3,000, 1,245 of the invited athletes attended assessment events, which eventually led to 101 athletes being selected for an 8-week apprenticeship programme. Throughout this programme, the athletes were immersed into a full-time training programme, while coaches and sports scientists tracked and benchmarked their responsiveness to the specified training interventions that were put in place. This apprenticeship then led to 48 athletes continuing into full-time training, which shows the overall success that this programme had. As well as this programme, the UK Talent Team have run numerous other talent transfer programmes, such as Tall and Talented in 2009 and Pitch to Podium in 2008, along with many others. These programmes hugely aid the process of talent transfer, as since 2007 they have worked in partnership with 22 Olympic and Paralympic sports and over 100 world-class coaches. As well as this, they have run 13 national athlete recruitment campaigns and assessed over 10,000 athletes in total. The need for and importance of these schemes was highlighted well by Goulbin in 2008, as he stated that there may be many post-puberty athletes who do not achieve expertise or who leave their sport due to age, injury or deselection, but still possess physiological capacities and skills that can be used in other sporting disciplines. However, transfer from one sport to another cannot always be possible, as certain sports contain skills and competencies which do not match up with the requirements of other sports, whilst others do. For example, certain pieces of work have identified that in some cases, e.g. sprinting to bobsleigh, the potential for transfer is obvious, as the athlete does an equitable job in both sports, so transfer is face valid. In contrast, there are other transfers, for example hockey to rowing, which appear to have no obvious underlying rationale. In the second case, the transfer is much harder to see, with little overlap apparent between the two sports, apart from the generic psychosocial components of being a successful athlete. Linking closely to this subject, playing some sports can actually have a positive effect and aid an athlete's development in another sport. For example, someone with experience in playing football would have all the correct attributes and skills required to go on and be a successful kicker in the NFL, as the skills picked up in football would translate across very well in terms of how to correctly strike the ball. As well as this, there are lots of skills and competencies which are universal across nearly all sporting disciplines, as skills such as running, jumping, catching and throwing are all required across many sports. Therefore, mastery of any one of these abilities will stand an athlete in good stead to be able to compete across a number of different sports. When looking overall at the effectiveness of talent transfer within sport, it is impossible to say that it has not had some sort of positive impact, as these programmes give the athletes the greatest chance of achieving success, which in turn offers greater financial reward, as well as opening the door to them being able to learn a number of skills which they would otherwise never have come across. However, despite all these positives, the process of talent transfer is not perfect. This is due to the fact that an athlete may have originally got into a sport because of their love and enjoyment for it. Therefore, if they transfer over to a different sport simply because they have a greater chance of succeeding, the same feeling of enjoyment will no longer be there to begin with. As well as this, the question of whether some of the swaps/transitions are fair will always come up, as many athletes go from much more well-off and well-funded sports to sports in which they may reach a higher level in terms of honours, but not in terms of financial reward or fame. To conclude, I Feel a Piece from Collins et al. In 2014 proposed a very strong idea to help combat the downsides to talent transfer, as they wrote the following. It may make more sense to develop a comprehensive and well-integrated talent development system which would facilitate transfer between sports of athletes who already received investment from sport. These systems could then be supported by educated coaches who have experience and understanding of the challenges faced by talent transfer athletes. If something like this can be achieved, then I feel that talent transfer can go even further into being a method in which athletes' real potentials can be discovered, helping to create the foundations of countless stars in sports before which they would never even have considered trying.